In Monaco, where diamonds sparkle brighter than stars and philanthropy masks the darkest sins, the most exclusive charity gala of 2024 lasted exactly 6 hours. The murder, 12 minutes. By midnight, the ambassador's daughter was dead, the tech mogul had vanished, and a €2 million fundraiser had become Europe's most shocking crime scene. But here's what Interpol didn't know. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a carefully orchestrated execution that had been planned for 18 months, and everyone, including the victim, was exactly where they were supposed to be. Welcome to the True Crime Room. I'm your host, bringing you the most twisted secrets from Europe's golden circles. If you're new here, subscribe now, because today's story will destroy everything you believe about charity, technology, and the price of justice. This case made international headlines, but the real story, the digital warfare that led to murder, has never been revealed until now. Meet Viktor Petrov, 34 years old, tech mogul worth €400 million, founder of Europe's largest data mining company. To the world, he was the perfect modern philanthropist. Harvard-educated, fluent in 6 languages, champion of digital privacy rights. He donated millions to causes protecting children from online predators. But Viktor had a secret laboratory hidden in his Monte Carlo penthouse, where he kept something that would make your blood freeze. For 4 years, Viktor had been running what he called digital cleansing operations. He would identify wealthy women who used their privilege to harm others, what he considered corrupt elites, and systematically destroy their lives using their own digital footprints. His method was always surgical. Hack their devices, discover their secrets, create deepfake evidence of crimes they never committed, then orchestrate their complete social and financial destruction. He'd done this to 4 women before our victim. Not murder, but something equally devastating: digital assassination. But this time was different. This time he didn't just want to destroy her reputation, he wanted to marry her first. Why? Because Viktor had evolved from vigilante to something far more terrifying. A man who believed that by cleansing Europe's elite through marriage and then digital execution, he was saving society from its own corruption. Meet Isabella Marchetti, 28 years old, daughter of Italy's ambassador to France, Cambridge graduate in international law, fluent in 5 languages. Beautiful, brilliant, everything a diplomat's family could want in their heir. She ran a foundation protecting refugees and had been praised by the EU Parliament for her humanitarian work. But Isabella was hiding a secret that was slowly destroying her soul. 3 years ago, while working for an NGO in Syria, she had made a decision that haunted every moment of her life. When faced with having to choose which refugee families would receive the limited aid available, she had accepted bribes from wealthy families to prioritize their relatives over others. Children had died because of her choices. For the past 8 months, Isabella had been receiving anonymous digital messages, cryptocurrency payments she'd received in Syria, photos of the families she'd abandoned, videos of children who had died waiting for help she'd sold to others. The messages simply said, "I know what you did in Aleppo." When Viktor's marriage proposal came through diplomatic channels, Isabella's blood ran cold, because she had done her own investigation, and she had discovered something that changed everything. Viktor wasn't just her potential husband, he was her digital stalker. The anonymous messages, the cryptocurrency traces, the surveillance footage, it was all him. But why did he want to marry her? What was his endgame? Isabella made a decision that would seal both their fates. She would marry him, but she would be ready to destroy him first. Both families were drowning in secrets that made this union their only salvation. Isabella's father, despite his diplomatic immunity, was facing exposure for arms dealing with Syrian rebels. Her mother's foundation was actually a money laundering operation for Russian oligarchs. This marriage wasn't about love. It was about gaining Viktor's technology to hide their digital footprints. Viktor's family was equally desperate. His company was built on illegal surveillance of European citizens, selling data to authoritarian regimes. They needed diplomatic protection, and most importantly, they needed Isabella's father's connections to avoid EU prosecution. So when Viktor approached his board with this perfect match, both families celebrated their salvation. Neither cared about their children's happiness. Neither asked the right questions. They were all so desperate for protection that they handed their children over to fate. What happens when a digital predator meets someone who's been planning their own cyber revenge? When two people enter a marriage not for love but for mutual destruction? The answer will terrify you. But first, let me tell you about the network of hackers and digital assassins that had been operating in Europe's elite circles for years, drawing everyone closer to a charity gala that would end in blood. What do you think? Is Viktor a digital vigilante gone too far? Or is there something even darker at play? And what about Isabella? Victim or vengeful mastermind planning her own cyber war? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe because what you're about to watch next will reveal the digital surveillance network that made this tragedy inevitable. Trust me, you won't see this coming. 18 months before the charity gala that would end in murder, Viktor attended a World Economic Forum dinner in Geneva. It was supposed to be a simple networking evening, but it became the night that changed everything. Across the crowded ballroom, he saw her. Isabella was speaking passionately about refugee rights, elegant in a midnight blue gown, her intelligence commanding the room's attention. To Viktor, she appeared to be everything he respected in a woman. Educated, compassionate, using her privilege to help others. That night, Viktor went home and created his first digital file on Isabella. He told himself it was research, maybe even genuine interest. But within weeks, research had become surveillance, and surveillance had become something far more sinister. Through advanced data mining, Viktor discovered Isabella's encrypted communications from Syria. Banking records showed suspicious cryptocurrency transactions. Facial recognition software placed her in locations that didn't match her official reports. To Viktor, this wasn't just corruption. It was the ultimate betrayal of everything she claimed to represent. Instead of reporting his findings like any normal person would, Viktor made a decision that would ultimately lead to murder. He would expose her, but not immediately. He would create an elaborate digital trap to systematically destroy her reputation, just as he had done to 4 other women before her. Viktor deployed his company's most advanced surveillance technology. AI-powered systems monitored Isabella's every digital movement. Her phones were hacked, her computers compromised, her smart home devices turned into listening posts. For months, Viktor built a comprehensive digital profile of her life, her fears, and her guilt. But Viktor didn't stop there. He began infiltrating her digital world through sophisticated social engineering attacks. Fake LinkedIn profiles connected with her professional network. AI-generated personas friend her on social media. Deepfake technology created false evidence of meetings that never happened. The psychological warfare began subtly. Anonymous messages would appear referencing Syria. Cryptocurrency transactions she thought were secure would be partially exposed on dark web forums. Viktor wanted to isolate her psychologically, make her paranoid and vulnerable. What Viktor didn't know was that Isabella had learned advanced cybersecurity during her diplomatic training. After weeks of digital harassment and sophisticated attacks, she began to suspect she was being targeted by state-level surveillance technology. Her breakthrough came when Isabella noticed patterns in the attacks that matched known techniques used by Viktor's company. Through careful digital forensics, she traced several of the fake accounts back to servers owned by his subsidiaries. But what she discovered next shocked her to her core. Viktor hadn't just targeted her. Through encrypted forums and data broker networks, Isabella found 4 other women who had been systematically destroyed by the same digital predator. All were educated professionals in positions of power. All had made morally questionable decisions in their past. All had been digitally assassinated after their secrets were exposed. Sarah, a pharmaceutical executive, had been destroyed after Viktor exposed her company's price manipulation that led to patient deaths. Fake evidence had been created showing personal enrichment that never occurred. Marie, a French politician, had been driven from office when Viktor fabricated evidence of corruption, building on real but minor ethical violations to create a narrative of systematic abuse. Elena, a Swiss banker, had fled the country after Viktor's deepfake technology created video evidence of her discussing money laundering, splicing together real footage to create false confessions. Isabella realized she wasn't just being stalked. She was being hunted by a serial digital predator who used advanced technology to destroy women in power, always building on real moral failures, but amplifying them through false evidence until their lives were completely ruined. But unlike his previous victims, Isabella wasn't planning to run. She was planning to fight back with her own digital weapons. When Viktor's marriage proposal came through diplomatic channels, Isabella understood immediately what was happening. This wasn't an arranged marriage. It was the final stage of his twisted game. He wanted to marry her first, then digitally destroy her, maximizing both his control and her humiliation while gaining access to her family's diplomatic immunity. Isabella began secretly building her own surveillance network. She hired white-hat hackers to document Viktor's criminal activities. She installed military-grade recording equipment throughout her residence. She contacted Viktor's previous victims, building a coalition that would expose his entire operation. What neither Isabella nor Viktor realized was that their families were playing their own deadly games. Isabella's father was using his diplomatic position to coordinate arms sales that had destabilized 3 African nations. Her mother's foundation was laundering money for cartels and terrorist organizations. They needed Viktor's technology to hide their digital footprints from international investigators. Viktor's family was equally corrupt. His company had sold surveillance technology to authoritarian regimes that used it to murder dissidents. His mother had been personally involved in coordinating these sales. His father knew about Viktor's digital assassination campaigns but enabled them because he believed powerful women needed to be kept in check. Both families saw this marriage as their salvation. Neither cared about their children's safety. They were using Viktor and Isabella as shields to protect themselves from international prosecution. The wedding planning became a digital battlefield where everyone was lying to everyone else. Viktor was preparing to expose and destroy his bride through the most sophisticated character assassination in history. Isabella was preparing to destroy her digital stalker and expose his serial predation. The families were using their children to avoid war crimes prosecution. All of these twisted agendas were going to collide at Monaco's most exclusive charity gala, where a €500,000 fundraiser was about to become a crime scene that would shock the world. What happens when multiple digital predators target the same victim? When everyone is hunting and no one realizes they're also being hunted? When a charity gala becomes the ultimate trap, but no one knows who will be caught in it? The answer lies in the most exclusive hotel suite in Monaco, where advanced surveillance technology was about to capture a murder that would expose Europe's darkest digital secrets. The charity gala arrived like a perfectly orchestrated digital performance, but underneath the glamorous facade, 2 cyber warriors were preparing for their final battle. 800 guests filled the ballroom of Monaco's Hotel Hermitage, completely unaware they were witnessing the climax of an 18-month digital war that would end in murder. Viktor played his role flawlessly, the philanthropic tech mogul, announcing a €50 million donation to combat online child exploitation. His speech received a standing ovation. What the audience couldn't see was the anticipation burning in his chest. Tonight, he would finally execute the digital assassination he had been perfecting for months. Isabella was equally convincing in her performance. She smiled graciously during the speeches, posed for photos with European dignitaries, and played the part of the diplomatic heiress to perfection. Hidden in her evening gown was military-grade recording equipment. Every conversation, every moment of the gala was being documented and streamed to secure servers across 3 countries. The families beamed with pride, each believing they had secured their salvation through this union. Isabella's father saw international protection and digital security. Viktor's family saw diplomatic immunity and legitimacy. Neither suspected that their children were locked in a cyber war that had nothing to do with love, charity, or tradition. As midnight approached, the couple was escorted to the penthouse suite Viktor had specially prepared. The room was a technological fortress, soundproof, with multiple hidden cameras, advanced jamming equipment, and direct satellite uplinks to his company's servers. Rose petals scattered on marble floors concealed hidden microphones. Champagne glasses were embedded with microscopic tracking devices. The door closed behind them, and the performance finally ended. Viktor's mask slipped first. The philanthropic tech mogul vanished, replaced by something calculating and cold. He walked to a hidden panel in the wall and retrieved a tablet displaying months of surveillance data. "I know what you did in Aleppo," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. "I know about the bribes, the children you left to die, the families you abandoned for money." The tablet showed cryptocurrency transactions, surveillance photos from Syria, and most damaging of all, deepfake videos of Isabella apparently negotiating the payments that had cost children their lives. "You thought you could hide behind your father's diplomatic status," Viktor continued, his voice rising with digital age righteousness. "You thought you could play the humanitarian while children died because of your greed. But I've been documenting everything. I've been building the case that will destroy not just you, but your entire family's criminal empire." But instead of the breakdown he expected, instead of tears and pleas for mercy, Isabella did something that shattered Viktor's digital world. She smiled. "I know," she said simply. "I've known it was you all along." Viktor's carefully constructed reality began to crumble. Isabella reached into her gown and pulled out her own tablet, showing him a recording app that had been streaming everything to international authorities for months. Then she pulled out her own files, digital evidence thicker than his. "I know about Sarah, about Marie, about Elena," she said, naming his previous victims. "I know about your digital assassination campaigns, your deepfake technology, your systematic destruction of women who threatened your twisted worldview. I have recordings of you planning this entire operation." Viktor's world was collapsing. The hunter was realizing he had been hunted by someone far more sophisticated than his previous victims. "You're not the only one with advanced technology," Isabella continued, her voice growing stronger. "I've been building a case against you for months. I've documented your serial digital predation. I've connected with your victims. I have evidence of your company's illegal surveillance, your sales to authoritarian regimes, your systematic violation of international law." She showed him screenshots of conversations with Interpol, copies of files sent to the International Criminal Court, and most devastating of all, real-time feeds proving that their entire conversation was being monitored by law enforcement across multiple countries. "By tomorrow morning, every cybersecurity expert in Europe will know exactly what kind of monster you are." The psychological battle that followed was unlike anything either had anticipated. Viktor's rage at being outsmarted by a woman he had considered morally inferior collided with Isabella's fury at being digitally stalked and terrorized for months. But Isabella had made one fatal miscalculation. She had assumed that exposing Viktor would be enough to stop him. She hadn't anticipated the depth of his narcissistic rage when confronted with his own failure. When Viktor realized he had been manipulated by the very woman he had spent months trying to destroy, something inside him snapped completely. The digital warfare became physical. Viktor's hands found Isabella's throat. She fought back, but the struggle was brief and brutal. In his rage at being beaten at his own game, Viktor committed the one act that would destroy not just Isabella, but himself and both families. When the violence ended, the suite was filled with eerie silence. Both tablets lay on the marble floor, still recording. Evidence of their mutual digital warfare was scattered around the room. His surveillance files, her counterintelligence documents, recordings of their deadly game of cyber cat and mouse. Hidden in Isabella's belongings, police would later find a dead man's switch, a digital system that would automatically release all evidence of Viktor's crimes if she failed to check in every 24 hours. She had been prepared to destroy his entire operation even if it cost her life. As dawn broke over Monaco's glittering harbor, the most exclusive charity gala in Europe's history had become its most shocking murder case. The digital predator and his prey had destroyed each other, leaving behind terabytes of evidence that would expose a network of cyber criminals, corrupt diplomats, and digital assassins operating in Europe's elite circles. The hunter and the hunted had annihilated each other, leaving only questions that would haunt cybersecurity experts worldwide. What happens when digital warfare becomes physical? When the most advanced surveillance technology becomes a weapon of personal destruction? When cyber predators meet victims who refuse to be silenced? The answer was written in blood on marble floors, and it would change international cybersecurity law forever. When Monaco police entered the penthouse suite that morning, they expected to find a typical crime of passion. What they discovered instead was evidence of the most sophisticated digital stalking operation in European history. The crime scene told a story so complex that Interpol's top cybersecurity experts struggled to comprehend its full scope. Both tablets were still recording when police arrived, containing hours of audio that revealed the shocking truth. This wasn't a simple murder, but the violent climax of an 18-month cyber war between two digital predators. Isabella's dead man switch had activated automatically, releasing terabytes of evidence to media outlets, law enforcement agencies, and cybersecurity firms across 6 countries. The evidence revealed not just Viktor's crimes, but a vast network of digital surveillance and character assassination that had been operating in Europe's elite circles for years. Viktor's company servers, automatically unlocked by Isabella's posthumous digital keys, contained detailed profiles of dozens of prominent women across Europe. Politicians, executives, journalists, activists, all had been systematically surveilled, their secrets documented, their vulnerabilities mapped for potential destruction. But equally disturbing were Isabella's own files. Her counter-surveillance operation had been just as sophisticated, revealing her willingness to use illegal hacking techniques, extortion, and digital manipulation to destroy her enemies. Neither victim nor perpetrator, both had been digital predators operating outside the law. The investigation exploded both families' carefully constructed lies. Isabella's father, the respected ambassador, was revealed to be coordinating arms sales that had destabilized governments across Africa and the Middle East. Financial records showed diplomatic pouches being used to transport conflict diamonds and illegal surveillance technology. Viktor's family empire crumbled under investigation. Their company had sold advanced surveillance technology to authoritarian regimes worldwide, equipment that had been used to track and murder dissidents, journalists, and human rights activists. The technology that Viktor had used to stalk Isabella was the same technology that had enabled genocides in Myanmar and the persecution of Uyghurs in China. As news of the murder spread, 4 women came forward with stories that made international headlines. Viktor's previous victims testified about systematic digital harassment campaigns that had destroyed their lives through sophisticated deepfake technology and character assassination. Sarah, the pharmaceutical executive, described how Viktor had created false evidence of personal enrichment, building on real pricing controversies to fabricate a narrative of individual corruption that destroyed her career and drove her to attempt suicide. Marie, the French politician, revealed how deepfake technology had been used to create video evidence of corruption discussions that never occurred, ending her political career and causing her family to disown her. Elena, the Swiss banker, testified via secure connection from her exile about how Viktor's AI systems had spliced together real conversations to create false confessions of money laundering, forcing her to flee Switzerland to avoid prosecution for crimes that existed only in fabricated digital evidence. All 3 women described the same pattern: months of psychological torture through anonymous digital harassment, followed by public humiliation through sophisticated technological manipulation that made it impossible to distinguish truth from fabrication. Viktor was found 5 days later in a private cyberbunker in the Swiss Alps, surrounded by screens showing global news coverage of his exposed crimes. When international authorities breached the facility, they discovered the full scope of his operation: a network of hackers, digital forensics experts, and deepfake specialists who had been systematically targeting powerful women across Europe and beyond. His confession revealed the terrifying scale of his ambitions. Viktor hadn't just been destroying individual women. He had been building toward a systematic campaign to digitally assassinate any woman in a position of power who threatened what he considered traditional values. The murder was never part of his plan. It was the result of his narcissistic rage at being outsmarted by someone he considered morally inferior. Police found his personal manifesto, a 200-page document detailing his belief that powerful women were corrupting society and that advanced surveillance technology should be used to expose and destroy them. He had been recruiting other tech executives to join his cause, creating what he called digital purity enforcement across European society. The trial that followed exposed the depth of corruption in both families and the broader network of enablers who had made such crimes possible. International media coverage forced European society to confront uncomfortable questions about privacy, technology, and the weaponization of shame in the digital age. Both families were destroyed not just by legal consequences, but by the social devastation that followed. Viktor's parents faced prosecution for facilitating surveillance technology sales to authoritarian regimes. Isabella's family saw her father stripped of diplomatic immunity and charged with arms trafficking and money laundering. But from the tragedy came unexpected progress. Isabella's sister, inspired by the courage of Viktor's previous victims, established an international foundation dedicated to protecting women from digital harassment and deepfake abuse. The Isabella Marchetti Digital Rights Foundation became a leading voice in cybersecurity law reform. European cybersecurity laws were completely overhauled in response to the case. New international treaties were signed specifically targeting the use of deepfake technology for character assassination, with severe penalties for those who weaponized advanced surveillance technology for personal vendettas. The case sparked intense international debate about the intersection of technology, privacy, and gender-based violence. Cybersecurity experts used Viktor's methods to educate the public about the dangers of digital surveillance and the ease with which advanced technology could be used to destroy lives through fabricated evidence. What the Monaco charity Gala murder revealed was both terrifying and enlightening. It showed how advanced technology could be weaponized to destroy innocent people, how digital warfare could escalate into physical violence, and how the complicity of families and institutions could enable systematic abuse on an international scale. The murder of Isabella Marchetti had been a turning point not just for cybersecurity law but for society's understanding of digital-age predators. Europe was forced to choose between protecting privacy and protecting people, between enabling technological innovation and preventing technological abuse. As the courtroom drama ended and international attention faded, one question remained. Would the world learn from this digital-age tragedy? Or would it simply develop more sophisticated ways to hide the same ancient hatred behind new technology? The answer would be written in the lives of the women who came after Isabella, and whether they would be protected or abandoned by a society finally forced to see how its most advanced tools could become its most dangerous weapons. The mirror had been shattered, revealing the dark reflection of humanity's relationship with technology. There was no going back to the beautiful lie that digital progress was inherently good, that advanced surveillance was inherently protective, or that the powerful would use their tools responsibly. The only question now was whether the world would use this painful revelation to build something better, or whether it would simply learn to hide its digital darkness more carefully. This case changed everything we thought we knew about digital stalking and cyber warfare. But here's what's truly terrifying. Viktor's technology is still out there, and law enforcement agencies across Europe are finding similar operations targeting women in power right now. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because next week, I'm exposing the underground network of digital predators that Viktor was just the beginning of. These aren't random hackers, this is organized, systematic, and it's happening to women, you know. The rabbit hole goes deeper than anyone imagined. Drop a comment below. Do you think Isabella was justified in fighting back? Or did she become just as dangerous as Viktor? And what would you do if you discovered someone had been digitally stalking you for months? I'm interested in your theories, so let me know what you think.